Hi, this is Adam Quiney, and today I'm going to challenge you to take something on, an acknowledgement challenge. There's three parts to this that I'll speak to. The first is why you might want to take on a challenge like this, why you might want to do this kind of practice. The second is what. What is acknowledgement? What is it that I'm actually talking about? And the third is how. How do you actually do it? I'm starting with why. That's Simon Sinek's always asking me to do that, so I thought I'd humor him this time. And if you stick around, I'll also speak to this super cool acknowledgement tracker that you can download and use to track. And along the side here, you get ranks that you earn, and there's some other cool stuff. So I'll speak to that at the end. So why would you want to develop your ability to acknowledge people? The first is because you're probably a leader. And as a leader, most of us want to be able to create more, to have more impact, to be more powerful. And the challenge of power, and sometimes the trick of it, if you like, is that you can only really lead with as much power as you can give love. People need both love and rigor, love and power. And so the less love you are able to give and or receive, the less power you can give and or receive. And both sides of that coin are involved in leadership. The second reason is you might just want to get better at giving people love. You might sort of be able to articulate really beautifully why you like someone a great deal, and that is completely different from loving someone. Loving someone is utterly different. They're not even in the same ballpark. And so if you're one of those people, then this is an amazing practice to develop your ability to actually give love and to receive love. Those are two of the reasons. There's a myriad more, but I don't want to take up all of this conversation speaking to why. Let's talk about what it is. So acknowledgement is not compliments. It's not flattery. It's not buttering someone up. It's truly an act of giving love at its core. And that, I think, is a large part in what distinguishes it from those other things. And most of us suck at giving love. It's not our fault. We want to. We just suck. We're not very adept in practicing it, and it's very vulnerable and intimate to give love, even if it's just verbally in the form of an acknowledgement. So if you want to get better at these things, amazing practice here. Acknowledgement is really the act of seeing someone for who they truly are. And typically when we do that, we put a lot of our focus and attention on where they could improve, which is not, it's actually who they aren't. We put our focus and attention on what they did or what they do, which is what they do rather than who they are. And we try to be a little bit evasive or string it around and avoid the point because we're scared to give love because it's edgy. And there's some reasons for why we're scared to give love. You know, if I give you my love and the way you react to that is distaste, disgust, if I even feel you pull away or close, I'm going to feel like, oh, wow, what does that mean about me? I'm going to project meaning onto the way you show up. I also, when I give love, sometimes I worry that I might not do it very well. And you probably can relate to this desire to let people know how much you love them, but worried that you're not able to give enough or that you don't have the right words or any of that stuff. And the beautiful thing about it, what acknowledgement is that it wipes all of that stuff away. None of that is a factor. I promise you're still going to try to bring it into the mix, but this is a tool to cut through that, to cut the Gordian knot for you. So that's what it is. And here's the how of it, the way that we would acknowledge someone. The first thing we do is we let ourselves get quiet, and we kind of just get really present to that person. So I'm going to think of someone right now. I'm going to actually model this. I'm going to acknowledge you. And so I'm just going to slow down, and I'm just going to get present to this person. She's a woman, and then I'm just going to speak from my heart what I see. So Laura, I want to acknowledge. Well, first of all, the first thing I really get present to is the radiance that you are. I so love how bright and vibrant you are. You're kind of like a beautiful tropical bird, which I imagine is amazing to be seen that way. And you have these incredible feathers that you want the world to see. And I can also imagine it might be challenging to be a bird like that and to draw that much attention to yourself. And I just love both sides of that. I love the challenge of it. I love that you're up for that challenge. I love that you are that challenge. I love the radiance that you just naturally bring into any room, any project you're on. The content you create, I know I'm absolutely certain that that's in it, and that you've been so successful working on that stuff. I think that's a measure of you putting your radiance into the world. I also want to acknowledge you for the connection that you are. And I think that one of your greatest gifts, and someone else gave me this, they acknowledged me this way, and I think it applies to you too. I think that you're super relatable. And I think it actually might be one of your superpowers. And to me, that's a reflection of the connection that you are. You just naturally, you desire to connect with people, and you do it innately. And there's dangers to that, but I just love that you have that capacity. Thanks for bringing those gifts into the world. Thanks for sharing them with me and letting me get to be a part of them. And then we just breathe. We allow ourselves to love that person. And there's a couple of, I've got some notes written down here that I want to make sure I talk about. Maybe I'll move them over here. Good Toastmasters technique. But there's a couple things I want to speak to. So the first is, when I model this and then I invite people to practice, they say, but Adam, I feel like I'm making this up. And the good news is, so do I. And I am. We're all making this up. When you speak from your heart, that's not some objective scientific truth. That's just you speaking what you experience, what you feel. So it almost is made up. The other thing is that the words that we'll pull, the words that we'll get present to, the being, that's going to come from, that's coming from us. So the real challenge there in those situations is to trust yourself. Trust that what's coming to you when you really get present to this person is their being. It is who they are. Trust that what you see is sufficient. When do you practice this? So the first thing is you practice it all the time, constantly. Like, where do you in your life want to bring more love? Where would you like to bring more power? Those are the two places you can look right away. Well, I want to bring more power to my leadership. Great. Let's look at that. So imagine you wanted to bring this more as a leader. You wanted to love, have more love in your culture, invite people to really step into that. And note that as a leader, you cannot get away with giving this to your people as a tool without modeling it first. You got to be the one that steps there. The reason for that is that we least want to show love to someone when we feel they are least willing to accept it. And when people are scared, they're typically least willing to accept love, because we learn growing up that receiving love is dangerous, or it comes with tethers, or it ties you up, or you can't trust it, or whatever the reason is. It doesn't really matter. It's just noticing that shows up. And so that's the place where you practice this. When you feel closed, when you're going to be most scared because you're reacting to what you're feeling, that's when, as a leader, we have to go first. We have to bring that. How you receive and give love, and your ability as a leader to do that, is a function. It's going to show up as you take on this practice. And so the funny thing is that some people take a practice like this and they go, I already give a lot of love in my place. There's no reason for me to do that. I think I'm good with that. That's a really sophisticated way of resisting this. And so just notice those sort of things, because you're gonna, if you're doing this practice, often it'll push you to your edge, given that most of us don't have a very developed ability to give love. So let's finish on that. There's plenty more, and if you want a deeper conversation on this topic, I'm always happy to have one. But there's also this cool acknowledgement tracker that I want to share with you. So if you check in the comments here, and I'm going to put a little bit of a note, not the comments, sorry, the items for this post, the description. I'll put a link to this, and there's some practices here along the bottom that you can take on to continue to develop yourself as a leader and as someone that wants to give more love in the world and be more powerful. These will help grow you along that way, and those sort of practices. And the things across the top here, we've got your name, the name of the person you acknowledged, the date you did it, and then what you acknowledged them for, and the impact on you. So that's really cool, because if you practice this, when you give more love, that requires opening your heart. And when you open your heart, it allows more love to come in. And so you'll notice, I'm inviting you to notice the impact over here. And if there's no impact when you are giving love, you might want to take a look at what that's about. It's weird to really love someone and to have no impact. Maybe you're not loving them truly. Maybe you're playing it safe. Maybe you're not risking and being vulnerable and really sharing that thing you love about them. Thank you for taking this on. This is an amazing challenge, and I think you're up to it. And whoever sent you this, whoever put this video in front of your eyes and had you watch it all the way through to the end, they saw that you had the potential to be this powerful as a leader as well. So thank them, thank you, and thank you for sending the same challenge along to anyone else that is up for it.